The resurgence of ability grouping really is surprising. For one thing, these practices were essentially stigmatized in the late 80s and early 90s. We unfortunately can't tell why there's more ability grouping going on, but I do speculate in part two about what some of the things could be. For example, we have surveys from teachers, and teachers say that they are finding it quite difficult to instruct classes of kids because of the wide range of abilities that they're faced with in the classroom. And ability grouping is one of the tools that they used to reduce the heterogeneity of abilities in a classroom and to create groups that are more easily to instruct. So that's one reason. There are some other reasons, and again, these are speculative, but that's what we have to do with these kind of data. One could be the influence of No Child Left Behind, which was very important in schools, and in particular in fourth grade in the 2000s, beginning in 2003. No Child Left Behind essentially told schools, look, you need to focus on low-performing children, and if you have to treat them differently, which may mean grouping them into small groups, that was something that No Child Left Behind, in a sense, encouraged indirectly. It didn't obviously spell that out. But, and then a third reason would be technology. More and more teachers are using computers and web-based instruction for tutoring children who are falling behind. And once you do that kind of thing and engage in those kinds of practices, in a sense, you're creating the justification for a more individualized approach as opposed to a one-size-fits-all kind of instructional regime. In tracking at the 8th grade, we found in mathematics very stable frequencies of use. Around 3/4 of kids in the United States are ability grouped in 8th grade mathematics, with algebra being the most popular course at the 8th grade. We looked at English language arts, science, and history, but only sporadically does NAEP collect data on those three subjects. But we found hints of a similar trend that we had found in ability grouping in the earlier grades, and that is that tracking reached a low in the 1990s, and then there's some hint of a comeback after 2000, but again, the data are sparse. We took a look at Education Week and ran a search of the term ability grouping. We found that ability grouping, in terms of its mentions in Education Week, peaked in the early 90s. So that's when ability grouping that was at its most controversial point, was in the early 90s, and that's when its use fell to its lowest point. But we also have seen in Education Week that it's fallen off in terms of mentions. So it's kind of gone underground. It's become less controversial. And as the spotlight was removed from this practice, it's as if teachers feel free again to use it. They don't think it's as stigmatized as it was in the past. For instance, there's a term differentiated instruction, which is very popular now among teachers. Ability grouping could fall within the rubric, the term differentiated instruction. And so that could be a reason why ability grouping is coming back so strongly, because the controversy surrounding it has diminished.